The apartment was quiet except for the sound of rain against the windows. Hanuel walked into the kitchen slowly, oversized gray sweater falling past her hands. Haram stood by the counter making coffee. Dark slacks, black fitted shirt, silver glasses low on her nose. For a second, Hanuel just watched her. The steady movements, the calm expression, the familiarity of it now. "You're staring again," Haram said without looking up. Hanuel leaned against the doorway. "You notice everything."
Yes.
A pause.
That sounds exhausting.
"It usually is." Hanuel smiled faintly, and Haram noticed that too immediately. This time, there were 2 plates prepared, not 1. Hanuel sat down slowly. "You made enough for both of us."
Yes.
"You usually don't." I adjusted. A tiny pause. "For me?" Haram looked at her directly for the first time that morning. "You live here too?" Simple answer. But something warm still settled quietly in Hanuel's chest. They left together again and again. Neither separated immediately. The elevator ride downstairs was silent, but comfortable. Too comfortable. Hanuel leaned lightly against the wall. Normal couples probably talk in elevators. Haram pressed the lobby button calmly. "We're not normal." The answer came too naturally. Too honestly. Hanuel looked at her quietly after that. "Because Haram said we." "Not you. Not me."
We.
The university buzzed with noise and movement. Students everywhere. Umbrellas crossing the sidewalks. Cold morning air. Minji appeared immediately. Like always. "Hanuel." She linked arms with her dramatically. "You ignored me for 6 hours." "I was asleep." "That's emotionally devastating." Yuna walked behind them sipping iced coffee. "She says that because she's obsessed with you?" "Correct," Minji replied proudly. Haram stood several feet away speaking to another professor, but her eyes shifted once, toward Minji holding Hanuel's arm naturally, toward Hanuel allowing it. That same uncomfortable feeling twisted inside her chest again. Sharper now. More familiar. Minji said while walking. "Professor Lee looked at you weirdly yesterday." Hanuel almost stopped walking. "What?" "She did." Yuna nodded casually. "It's true? That's not a thing." "It is a thing," Minji insisted. "She stares at you longer than everyone else." Hanuel immediately looked away. "You're imagining things." Minji narrowed her eyes dramatically. At the end of the hallway, Haram saw the entire conversation. And somehow, seeing Hanuel flustered because of someone else irritated her even more. The lecture began normally, at least externally. Interpretation depends entirely on context. Haram wrote carefully across the board. Controlled. Precise. Perfect. But her attention kept drifting again, against her will, toward the back row, toward Hanuel, toward Minji whispering too close beside her again. "Ms. Jen." Hanuel looked up immediately. "Yes, Professor." "Continue from the previous point," Hanuel answered smoothly. "Focused. Clear." Haram listened carefully. Too carefully. "Good." A pause. Then softer. "You prepared well." The room froze. Because Professor Lee almost never praised students directly. Minji slowly turned toward Hanuel in disbelief. Yuna looked mildly terrified. Hanuel could physically feel everyone staring now, including Haram. Especially Haram. After another student answered incorrectly, Haram corrected him sharply. Too sharply. The atmosphere tightened instantly. Then Minji leaned toward Hanuel whispering, "She's terrifying today." Hanuel glanced toward the front. "No. She literally looks one inconvenience away from murder." Hanuel almost smiled faintly. Because somehow, she already knew the difference between Haram being cold and Haram being irritated. And today, this wasn't normal coldness. This was jealousy. The realization hit unexpectedly hard, and embarrassingly, part of her liked it. Students crowded near the front desk again. Hanuel stayed seated longer than usual. watching quietly while Haram answered questions. Calm, efficient, untouchable. Then one female student laughed too brightly at something Haram said. Leaning slightly closer, Kanul's expression changed instantly, subtly, but enough. Something unpleasant tightened quietly inside her chest. Minji noticed immediately. Oh my god. Hanul blinked. What? You're jealous.
Silence.
Absolute silence. I'm not. You literally glared. I did not. Yuna looked up from her phone. You absolutely did. Across the room. Haram looked up at exactly the wrong moment, directly toward them, directly toward Hanuel, and suddenly both of them looked away too fast. Heavy rain trapped students beneath the university entrance again. Minji sighed dramatically. I hate weather. You hate everything. That's not true. I like you. Kanul rolled her eyes, but smiled anyway. Several feet away, Haram stood beneath the overhang holding a black umbrella, watching. Again. Yuna looked between them slowly. Okay, no, something is happening here. There is nothing happening, Kanul replied immediately. Too quickly. Again. Minji suddenly grinned. Professor Lee.
Silence.
Haram looked over calmly.
Yes?
You and Haniel live in the same direction, right? Kanul nearly stopped breathing. A pause. Then Haram answered smoothly.
Yes.
Minji smiled proudly. Perfect. Walk together. Yuna slowly stared at Hanuel. Why do you look like you're having a crisis? I'm not. You absolutely are. The walk home was quiet. Rain filled the silence around them, cars passing, water splashing beneath their shoes. The umbrella forced them close together, shoulders brushing occasionally. Every accidental touch lingering too long. Then softly, you smiled differently with Minji. Hanuel blinked. What? You're more relaxed. A pause. You observe strange things. So do you.
Silence.
Then, you looked jealous earlier. Haram nearly stopped walking. Excuse me, that student near your desk. Silence again. Longer this time. You noticed that? Kanul looked ahead calmly.
Yes.
Something shifted heavily between them after that, because neither denied it. The rain became heavier suddenly. They stopped beneath the bright lights of a small convenience store. Hanuel wandered through aisles while Haram paid for coffee. When Haram returned, Kanul stood staring at instant ramen cups. You actually eat this? Haram asked. It's efficient. That's my line. Kanul smiled. Maybe I listen to useful things too. And that made Haram's chest tighten unexpectedly. The elevator stopped halfway. Lights flickering softly. Hanuel sighed dramatically. This building is trying to kill me. It's temporary. It's still annoying. Then suddenly, the lights went completely dark. Instinctively, Kanul grabbed Haram's sleeve. Close. Immediate. The emergency lights returned seconds later, but neither moved. You really hate dark spaces, Haram said softly. Kanul slowly let go. I said I didn't like them. A pause. Then unexpectedly, Haram stepped slightly closer, not touching, just closer. You can hold on to something next time. The words came out quiet, gentle, dangerously gentle. Kanul's heartbeat stumbled hard, because that sounded like something else. The power only partially returned. Warm lamplight filled the apartment softly. Hanuel sat curled into the couch beneath a blanket. Haram worked nearby at the dining table, but neither focused properly. You've been staring at the same page for 10 minutes, Hanuel said quietly. So, have you? Kanul looked down at her untouched book.
Fair.
A pause. Then unexpectedly, they both laughed quietly, together. And suddenly, the apartment felt unbearably warm. Late at night, Hanuel entered the kitchen barefoot for water. Haram was already there. Again. You don't sleep much, Hanuel murmured. Neither do you. Then Kanul noticed the small cut on Haram's hand.
You're hurt.
It's minor. Let me see. The words came naturally now. Too naturally. Harem handed her the injured hand without hesitation. That felt intimate somehow. Trusting. Hanuel cleaned the cut carefully beneath warm water. Gentle fingers against Harem's skin. Focused expression. Soft breathing in the quiet kitchen. Haram watched her the entire time. Every movement, every tiny expression. You're careful with me, Haram said quietly. Canuel didn't look up. Maybe. Heavy silence. Because maybe meant yes. Canuel wrapped the bandage slowly, still holding Haram's hand afterward. Neither moved away. Their faces were too close now. Again. Always again. Hanuel finally looked up and immediately regretted it, because Haram was already looking at her. Softly. Not cold. Not distant. Just soft. And that was infinitely more dangerous. For one terrible second, it felt like something might finally happen. Then Hanuel's phone lit up loudly across the counter. Minji? The moment shattered instantly, both stepping back too quickly, breathing unevenly. But this time, Hanuel saw it clearly. The way Harem's expression changed seeing Minji's name. Sharp. Small. Jealous. And unexpectedly. That realization made warmth spread through her chest instead of discomfort. Much later, they sat on opposite ends of the couch again, TV playing quietly, neither watching it. Then softly, "You've changed," Hanuel said. Harem looked over slowly. "How?" "You're softer lately." A pause. Dangerous silence. Then quietly, "Only with you." The words escaped before Haram could stop them. Silence filled the room instantly. Heavy. Intimate. Real. Canuel's heart pounded painfully hard now, because Haram sounded sincere, completely sincere. Harem looked away first. Forget I'd said that. But Hanuel couldn't. Wouldn't. Because something between them was no longer imaginary now, no longer deniable, and both of them knew it, even if neither was ready to say it out loud yet. That night, neither slept quickly. Hanuel laid facing the wall quietly, heart still racing. Behind her, Haram remained awake too. Neither spoke, but both were painfully aware of the other person in the room now. Every movement, every breath, every silence. And somewhere in the dark, the line between pretending and real had already started disappearing. Neither of them knew what to do about that yet, but neither wanted it to stop. Early morning. The apartment was unusually quiet. Gray rain clouds covered the city outside, leaving everything dim and cold. Canuel walked into the kitchen slowly, still half asleep, then stopped immediately. Harem sat at the dining table completely still, already dressed, phone resting face down beside untouched coffee. Something felt wrong instantly. Harem? No response at first. Then calmly, "My father collapsed." The words sounded controlled. Too controlled. Hanuel froze. What? He's in the hospital. No shaking voice, no visible panic, just calm. Which somehow felt far worse.